recording. Hey, this is Wednesday, May 6th. My regular kids, we're getting into Outsiders Chapter 9 today, doing our best to have me not pass out in front of you because I'm still dealing with strep throat, trying not to die, but it's not the easiest thing because I feel horrible. But we'll get into reading stuff and helping you guys out from there. Again, those of you who are using the chat, I have no problem with you using chat as far as being fairly normal and sending questions, but I do keep chat up on my screen, and as soon as you guys start just sending random stuff and spamming things, that is what makes you get removed. So if you see me pause for a second and just like look down and go clicky clicky, I'm removing people who are spamming chat. So make good choices as far as the chatting back and forth. Don't be overly annoying. Leah, so did you braid your hair just so it has really cool curls and waves throughout the entire thing? Nicely done. I wish, once again, slightly jealous because that's a thing that I can't do myself. All right, and then to here, let's go to here and screen share. Yay. And come on, there we go. I can do this. Again, if you guys have questions, just let me know because it'll pop up and I'll be able to see your questions, either hand raising or with you guys as far as chat and stuff like that goes. Clickety and clickety. Micah, I am doing horribly. Thank you. Both my sanity wise, I feel like I'm going insane with this whole thing, and the fact that my throat feels awful and it feels like I ate glass. It feels like I ate Jackson's brand new little gerbil thing, and it's like going down my throat, like scratching everything every time I swallow. But I'm staying sane, barely. All right, Skyward is updated except for yesterday's quiz. I'm putting yesterday's quiz in after we get done here because I have some kids who have not finished. If you have not taken yesterday's quiz yet, it goes in as a 0 today. You can still fix it. You're more than welcome to still do it and get the full grade, but I'm going to be putting in grades today. So just letting you know, if you've not taken it, I tried to give you some time, but take the quiz from yesterday. Panoramic survey. If you have, 1 second, and this kid didn't take long. And Mohammed, this is why you got removed. Remove. Boop. That didn't last long for Mohammed. All right. Then back to here, you're going to be getting a panoramic survey where you should be getting it in your email. So if you've not checked your school email, please check that. It's a thing from the school. It's not very exciting. It's actually rather boring. It just talks about the coronavirus and whether you think the school did a good job, how did your teachers do, things that like how are you doing mentally and stuff like that. So it just has a whole bunch of questions for you. So you're more than welcome to take that. And the new Zoom rules, we'll see how this goes. I mean, the bright side is we only have a handful of Zooms left, and we'll sort of see how this thing goes. But I'll be doing it where you have the new password each day, and then I'll probably have to approve you as you come in. And as long as we don't have more issues, then I'll see about sort of loosening things up. But after yesterday, I'm trying to prevent major problems. Click. There you go. Your final Outsiders test over the entire book is going to be next Wednesday. We're going to be reading chapter 9 today, 10 tomorrow. You'll read 11 and 12 on your own. We're going to talk about the end of the book next Tuesday, final test on Wednesday. Next Thursday, I'm going to start telling you guys the first story of me making poor choices when I was in junior high and high school. And so I get to start doing all the stories thing with you guys then. The quiz from yesterday. If you have not taken it, it is over chapters 5, 6, 7, 8. It is going to be called Pony Quiz, Ponyquiz. It is 12 questions. Again, I've graded yesterday's. I'll be putting them up on Skyward today. If you've not done it, then make sure you do it here sometime soon. Hang on 1 second. Gotta do a thing. There. And click. Again, any past stuff you're more than welcome to do as far as the past e-learning goes. Please feel free to get that done. Ebook version did that today. So here is what today's thing is going to be. One, the room is going to be called MAY 06. May 06. I would try to do just May 6, but I could not do May 6 because apparently that one was already being used by somebody. So I could do May 06. You have 2 questions you get to choose from. Hang on, let me go ahead and admit Diane. Option 1. Of all the greasers who show up for the Rumble, Which one do you mostly connect with and why? So you're going to, when we get to the Rumble coming up, because we do get to the big fight, pick one of them that you would connect with and explain to me why you would connect to that one and with their fighting and stuff like that. Or option 2, which is your choice, which would be after Johnny's post-Rumble scene, what do you predict will happen with Dally or Ponyboy? As long as you've not read ahead, then I'm just going to see, because we have a big thing coming up of Johnny after the Rumble, and then what do you think is going to happen, because both Dally and Ponyboy have this big thing that's going to happen to them. I'm going to see what your prediction and thoughts are for those. So if you've not screenshotted, now would probably be the good time to go through there and do the whole screenshotty thing. I will show it to you again at the end, but just to try and help you out. So May 06, screenshot, option 1, option 2. You're only doing one of the 2 questions. Whichever one you prefer to do is absolutely fine with me. All right. And then to hear this poem, the one that we talked about the other day, the sunrise poem, is going to play another role coming up in today at the very end, where it says, nature's first green is gold, her heart is you to hold, her early leaves a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief, so dawn goes down today, nothing gold can stay. That whole thing talking about childhood and love the thing, your innocence, and love the fact when you're younger, and that would be a great thing to be. That plays a role coming up in our story about cherish your childhood, find your gold, whatever it is that brings you your happiness, and hold on to that for as long as you can. So I'm going to remind you about that, because it's going to come back, and you guys are going to be all like, what? What's going on? I'm going to talk about this poem again to try and help you. So this is my way of trying to make things better. Buck's Thunderbird, because it pops up again here in a moment. Ooh, the heater. With this one, Dally was the one carrying the heater. This is going to play a role tomorrow in chapter 10. If you don't remember, Dally talked about the heater, and he said a very important thing, which was he does not carry bullets in it. He says, I'm not crazy. I'm not looking to kill anybody. I do carry a gun, but I don't carry any bullets in it. That plays a big role tomorrow, the fact that he carries a gun without any bullets in it. All right. Again, if you guys want to screenshot this one to help you out, this is as far as the quizzes goes and stuff like that. It has, like, I tried to give you all the main different characters that are going to be in it: Ponyboy, Soda Pop, Derry, Johnny, 2-Bit, Steve, and Dally. I thought this might be a thing that would help you when it came time for quizzes and stuff like that. It was a thing I tried to throw together for you. All right. The church fire, we covered that one. The thing falling and Johnny being crippled. All right. So now we get to the actual, hang on, put it over here. And outsiders. So I'm going to start reading page 131. I will finish all of chapter 9 with you guys today. We'll do chapter 9 tomorrow. There are some big things that happen in chapter 9. All right. Oh, I'm assuming we have no major questions in here. It seems like we're good to go. Wait, I do have a question. I apologize. Pearls, I apologize. I was scrolled down and didn't see you. What's up, Pearlington?
Oh, you made me forget. I'll tell you when I remember.
Okay. I apologize for not seeing your hand earlier. It's just like class. Adorable. All right. So back to page 131 and Pearl giving me grumpy face. Wait, hang on. Quick throat spray timeout. It hurts so badly. Page 131. It was almost 6:30 when I got home. And this is when they'd been at the hospital, and he and Cherry had been talking back and forth, and he'd been there to go visit Dally and Johnny. The Rumble was set for 7, so I was late for supper as usual. I always come in late. Now I forget what time it is. Derry had cooked dinner, baked chicken and potatoes and corn. 2 chickens, because all 3 of us eat like horses, especially Derry. But although I love baked chicken, I could hardly swallow any. I swallowed 5 aspirins, though, when Derry and Soda weren't looking. I do this all the time when I can't sleep very well at night. Derry thinks I take just 1, but I usually take 4. I figured 5 would keep me going through the Rumble and maybe get rid of my headache. I don't know how often you guys take like ibuprofen or aspirin or something like that, but hopefully you only take like 1 or 2 without overdosing and making you sick. Apparently, Ponyboy usually takes 4, and today he took 5, which for most of you would make your stomach throw up upon itself, which is probably not a healthy thing. Then I hurried to take a shower and change clothes. Me and Soda and Dairy always got spruced up, meaning dressed up fancy, before a rumble. And besides, we wanted to show those socias we weren't trash, that we were just as good as they were. Soda, I called from the bathroom, when did you start shaving? When I was 15, he yelled back. When did Dairy? When he was 13. Why? Are you figuring on growing a beard for the rumble? You're funny. We ought to send you into the Reader's Digest. I hear they pay a lot for funny things. Soda laughed and went right on playing poker with Steve in the living room. Derry had on a tight black t-shirt that showed every muscle on his chest and even the flat, hard muscles of his stomach. I'd hate to be the Soch who takes a crack at him, I thought, as I pulled on a clean t-shirt and a fresh pair of jeans. I wished my t-shirt was tighter. I have a pretty good build for my size, but I lost a lot of weight in Windricksville, eating bologna sandwiches and smoking cigarettes and eating chocolate bars, like you guys during the quarantine. And it just didn't fit right. It was a chilly night, and t-shirts aren't the warmest clothes in the world. But nobody ever gets cold in a rumble. And besides, jackets interfere with your swinging ability. Soda and Steve and I had put on more hair oil than was necessary, but we wanted to show that we were greasers. Tonight, we could be proud of it. Greasers may not have much, but they have a rep. That and long hair. What kind of world is it where all I have to be proud of is a reputation for being a hood and greasy hair? I don't want to be a hood, but even if I don't steal things and mug people and get boozed up, I'm marked lousy. Why should I be proud of it? Why should I even pretend to be proud of it? Derry never went in for the long hair. His was short and clean all the time. I sat in the armchair in the living room, waiting for the rest of the outfit to show up. But of course, tonight, the only one coming would be Two-Bit. Johnny and Dallas wouldn't show. Soda and Steve were playing cards and arguing as usual. Soda was keeping up a steady stream of wisecracks and clowning, and Steve had turned up the radio so loud that it almost broke my eardrums. Of course, everybody listens to it loud like that, but it wasn't just the best thing for a headache. You like fights, don't you, Soda? I asked suddenly. Yeah, sure, he shrugged. I like fights. How come? I don't know. He looked at me puzzled. It's action. It's a contest, like a drag race or a dance or something. Shoo, said Steve. Oh, hang on. Kaylee jumped out. Sickles, quit jumping back in. It's a contest, like a drag race or a dance or something. Shoo, said Steve. I want to beat those Soch's heads in. When I get in a fight, I want to stomp the other guy good. I like it, too. How come you like fights, Derry? I asked, looking up at him as he stood behind me, leaning in the kitchen doorway. He gave me one of those looks that hide what he's thinking, but Soda piped up. He likes to show off his muscles. I'm gonna show them off on you, little buddy, if you get any mouthier. I digested what Soda had said. Oh, hang on 1 second. I did not mean to keep doing that. Stop sharing to there. There we go. Let's go back to me. And then cancel to there, spotlight. And then on here, I don't think I have anything else to show on here. Sorry, quick timeout. I do not. Okay, so we're good to go. Back to me. And to there. All right. Shoot, said Steve. I want to beat those Soch's heads in. When I get... dang it, I lost my spot. There we go. You like fights? Yes, sure you like. How come? I don't know. I like them. It's like a drag race or a dance or something. Shoot, said Steve. Shoot, said Steve. By the way, we're on page 133 for those of you trying to follow along and figure out where we are. I want to beat those Soch's heads in. When I get in a fight, I want to stomp the other guy good. I like it too. How come you like? Sorry, I backed up way far. I apologize. I got distracted. I blame the fact that my brain hurts right now. Bottom paragraph. I digested what Soda had said. It was the truth. Derry liked anything that took strength, like weightlifting or playing football or roofing houses, even if he was proud of being smart too. Derry never said anything about it, but I knew he liked fights. I felt out of things. I'll fight anyone, anytime, but I don't like to. I don't know if you ought to be in this rumble, Pony, Derry said slowly. Oh no, I thought in mortal fear. I've got to be in it. Right then, the most important thing in my life was helping us whip the Socias. Don't let him make me stay home now. I've got to be in it. How come? I've always come through before, ain't I? Yeah, Derry said with a loud grin. Hang on 1 second. Sorry, kid keeps getting kicked out. You fight real good for a kid your size, but you were in shape before. You've lost weight and you don't look so great, kid. You're tensed up too much. Shoo, said Soda, trying to get the ace out of his shoe without Steve seeing him. We all get tensed up before a rumble. Let 'em fight tonight. Skin never hurt anyone. No weapons, no danger. I'll be okay, I pleaded. I'll get hold of a little one, okay? Well, Johnny won't be there this time. Johnny and I sometimes ganged up on one big guy. But then Curly Shepherd won't be there either. Or Dally, and we're going to need every man we can get. What happened to Shepherd? I asked, remembering Tim Shepherd's kid brother. Curly, who was a tough, cool, hard as nails Tim Hiccup in miniature. He and I had once played chicken by holding our cigarette ends against each other's fingers. We had stood there, clenching our teeth and grimacing, with sweat pouring down our faces and the smell of burning flesh making us sick, each refusing to holler until Tim happened to stroll by. When he saw that we were really burning holes in each other, he cracked our heads together, swearing to kill us both if we ever pulled a stunt like that again. I still have the scar on my forefinger. Curly was an average downtown hood, tough and, well, not real bright, but I liked him. He could take anything. So again, what they were doing was playing chicken to see which kid's gonna be the wussy first. So they each smoked a cigarette, and you get it all nice, red, and hot with your cigarette. And then you each hold out a finger, and you press the cigarette against the other person's finger. So you press it right against that front part of it, and you sit there and press them against each other's fingers, and you see which kid like flinches first. So they're sitting there burning each other's fingers to see who's gonna give up first. And luckily, the older brother came by and smacked the bejesus out of the back of their heads. Because, once again, kids, things I'm sure you guys have done during the quarantine with your own siblings. You're like, hey, let's go smoke a cigarette and burn each other because, boredom and stuff like that. He's in the cooler, Steve said. By the way, if you don't remember, cooler means jail. So what's his name is in jail. He's in the cooler, Steve said, kicking the ace out of Soda's shoe. In the reformatory. Again? I thought. And said, come on, let me fight, Derry. If it was blades or chains or something, it'd be different. Nobody ever gets really hurt in a skin rumble. By the way, if you're not sure what they're talking about, they mean a skin rumble is when you're just fighting with your fists. So they're not allowed to bring knives or chains or guns or anything like that. They're just going to beat the holy bejeebers out of yourselves with just their fists and just punching each other and stuff like that. So that kind of thing, perfectly fine. Well, Derry Galen, I guess you can, but be careful. And if you get in a jam, holler, and I'll get you out of it. I'll be okay, I said wearily. How come you never worry about Soda Pop as much? I don't see you lecturing him. Man, Derry grinned and put his arm across Soda's shoulders. This is one kid, brother, I don't have to worry about. Soda punched him in the ribs affectionately. This kiddo can use his head. Soda Pop looked down at me with mock superiority, but Derry went on. You can see he uses it for one thing, to grow hair on. He ducked Soda's swing and took off for the door. Two-Bit stuck his head in the door just as Derry went flying out of it, leaping as he went flying off the steps. Derry turned a somersault in mid-air. Hardcore parkour, hit the ground and bounced up before Soda could catch him. Well up, Two-Bit said cheerfully, cocking an eyebrow. Once again, the cocking an eyebrow is that I can't really like that. The eyebrow that pops up on one side. Looks like I just had a stroke, but that's okay. Cocking I see we're in prime condition for a rumble. Is everybody happy? Yeah, screamed Soda as he too did a flying somersault off the steps. He flipped up to walk on his hands and did a no-hands cartwheel across the yard to beat Derry's performance. The excitement was catching. Screeching like an Indian, Steve went running across the lawn in flying leaps, stopped suddenly, and then flipped backward. We could all do acrobatics because Derry had taken a course at the Y and then spent a whole summer teaching us everything he'd learned on the grounds that it might come in handy in a fight. If you don't know what the Y is, this might be your hint. There's a song where you do this, and then this, and then that, and then now. Thank you for those of you who participated along with me. I'm gonna throw one of those out at you on that one. So yeah, nicely done. So yeah, the YMCA. So he took classes at the YMCA. And so they learned how to do ninja moves on the thought that you might want to do ninja moves sometime in a fight. Yes, Jackson, I saw you do the dancing along with me. Was that what you wanted to tell me?
Yeah, I wanted to sing it, but now it's just dumb because you continued reading.
Yeah, how awful of me. Kids nowadays. All right, so the YMCA. It did, but it also got 2-Bit and Soda jailed once. They were doing mid-air flips down a downtown sidewalk, walking on their hands. And otherwise disturbing the public and the police. Leave it to those two to pull something like that. With a happy whoop, I did a no-hands cartwheel off the porch steps, hit the ground, rolled to my feet. 2-Bit followed me in a similar manner. I am a greaser, Soda Pop chanted. I am a JD and a hood. I blacken the name of our fair city. I beat up people. I rob gas stations. I am a menace to society. Man, do I have fun. Apparently that's like the Greaser song. Greaser, 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 Steve sings song. Oh, victim of environment, underprivileged, rotten, no-count hood. Juvenile delinquent, you're no good. It feels like I'm really nailing this with my singing voice right now, so I can feel the fact that you're all being pulled in. By the way, in that first part, when Soda Pop says, I am a JD and a hood, that next part where it says, juvenile delinquent, you're no good, that's what a JD is. Again, a juvenile delinquent, meaning a kid that gets in trouble and gets arrested all the time. So they pride themselves on basically being hoods that go out and get in trouble. Get the hints, white trash, 2-Bit said in a snobbish voice. I am a Soch. I am the privileged and the well-dressed. I throw beer blasts, drive fancy cars, break windows at fancy parties. What do you do for fun? I inquired in a serious and awed voice. I jump greasers, 2-Bit screamed and then did a cartwheel. We settled down. Sorry, that gave me all lightheaded. Started to pass out here. Trying to stay up. Okay, don't fall over. Staying strong. I hate strep throat. All right. Singing was too much. We settled down as we walked to the lot. 2-Bit was the only one wearing a jacket. He had a couple of cans of beer stuffed into it. He always gets high, here meaning drunk, not high like drugs, but high as in beer, before a rumble. But not that I recommend you guys getting drunk or going into a rumble, but it's probably a pretty good idea. That's why, like, whenever drunks get into a car wreck, the drunk is usually the one that does not get hurt because your body's all loose and floppity. So I guess if you're going to get into a fight and have somebody like punch you and knock the holy bejesus out of you, you might as well be slightly intoxicated. That way, when they're punching you, you can barely feel it and you won't get as much pain. Once again, not recommending you guys either get into a rumble or get drunk, but if you were, that's probably the right way to do things. Before anything else, too, come to think of it, by the way, I just imagine all of a sudden one of your guys' parents walking by in the background. If you don't have like headphones on, you're just like listening to it, and they just walk by and go, did your teacher just say to get drunk and get in a fight? And you're like, nothing, don't worry about it, just keep going. I'd hate to see the day when I had to get my nerve from a can. I'd tried drinking once before. The stuff tasted awful. I got sick, had a headache, and when Derry found out, he grounded me for 2 weeks. That was the last time I'd ever drink. I'd seen, too much what drinking did for you at Johnny's house. Hey, 2-Bit, I said. Stop it. I said, deciding to complete my survey. How come you like to fight? He looked at me as if I was off my nut. Shoot, everybody fights. If everybody jumped into the Arkansas River, old 2-Bit would be right on their heels. I had it then. Soda fought for fun, Steve for hatred, Derry for pride, and 2-Bit for conformity. Why do I fight? I thought, and couldn't think of any real good reason. I mean, there isn't any real good reason for fighting except self-defense. Hey, listen, Soda, you and Ponyboy, Derry said as we strode down the street. If the Fuzz show, again, Fuzz meaning the Popos, You two beat it out of there. The rest of you can only get jailed. You two can get sent to a boys' home. Nobody in this neighborhood is going to call the fuzz, Steve said grimly. They know what happened if they did. All the same, you two blow out the first sign of trouble. You hear me? You sure don't need an amplifier, Soda said, and stuck out his tongue at the back of Derry's head. I stifled a giggle. If you want to see something funny, it's a tough hood sticking his tongue out at his big brother. Tough hood. Tim Shepard and company were already waiting when we arrived at the vacant lot, along with a gang from Brumley, one of the suburbs. Tim was a lean, cat-like 18-year-old who looked like the model JD you see in movies and magazines. He had the right curly black hair, smoldering dark eyes, and a long scar from temple to chin where a tramp had belted him with a broken pop bottle, a tramp meaning a homeless person. He had a tough, hard look to him, and his nose had been broken twice. Like Dally's, his smile was grim and bitter. He was one of those who enjoy being a hood. The rest of his bunch were the same way. The boys from Brumley, too, young hoods who would grow up to be old hoods. I'd never really thought about it before, but they'd just get worse as they got older, not better. I looked at Derry. He wasn't going to be any hood when he got old. He was going to get somewhere. Living the way we do would only make him more determined to get somewhere. That's why Derry is better than the rest of us, I thought. He's going somewhere, and I was going to be like him. I was going to live in a lousy neighborhood all my life. Tim had the tense, hungry look of an alley cat. That's what he's always reminded me of, an alley cat. And he was constantly restless. His boys ranged from 15 to 19, hard-looking characters who were used to the strict discipline Tim gave out. That was the difference between his gang and ours. They had a leader and were organized. We were just buddies who stuck together. Each man was his own leader. Maybe that was why we could whip them. Tim and the leader of the Brumley outfit moved forward to shake hands with each of us, proving that our gangs were on the same side in this fight. Although most of the guys in those two outfits weren't exactly what I'd like to call my friends. When Tim got to me, he studied me, maybe remembering how his kid brother and I had played chicken with the cigarettes. You and that quiet black-haired kid were the ones who killed that Soch? Yeah, I said, pretending to be proud of it. Then I thought of Cherry and Randy and got a sick feeling in my stomach. That's good going, kid. Curly always said you were a good kid. Curly's in the reformatory for the next 6 months. Tim grinned ruefully, probably thinking of his roughneck, hard-headed brother. He got caught breaking into a liquor store. He went on to call Curly every unprintable name under the sun. In Tim's way of thinking, it was a term of affection. I surveyed the scene with pride. I was the youngest one there. Even Curly, if he'd been there, had turned 15, so he was older than me. I could tell Derry realized this too, and although he was proud, I also knew he was worried. Shoot, I thought. I'll fight so good this time, he won't ever worry about me again. I'll show him that someone besides Soda Pop can use his head. One of the Brumley boys waved me over. We mostly stuck with our own outfit, so I was a little leery of going over to him, but I shrugged. He asked to borrow a weed, again, meaning cigarette, not marijuana, and then lit up. Hey, that big guy with y'all, you know him pretty well? I ought to. He's my brother, I said. I couldn't honestly say yes. I mean, I knew Derry as well as he knew me, and that isn't saying a whole lot. No kidding. I got a feeling he's going to be asked to start the fireworks around here. He a pretty good bopper? Bopper? He meant rumbler. Man, those Brumley boys have weird vocabularies. I doubt if half of them can read a newspaper or spell much more than their names, and it comes out in their speech. I mean, you take a guy that calls a rumble bop action, and you can tell he isn't real educated. Yep, I said. Why him? He shrugged. Why anybody else? I looked our outfits over. Most of the greasers don't have real tough builds or anything. They're mostly lean and kind of panther looking in a slouchy way. This is partly because they don't eat much and partly because they're slouchy. Derry looked like he could whip anyone there. I think most of the guys were nervous because of the no weapons rule. I don't know about the Brumley boys, but I knew Shepard's gang were used to fighting with anything they could get their hands on. Bicycle chains, blades, pop bottles, pieces of pipe, pool sticks, sometimes even heaters. I mean, guns. Okay, I've got kind of a lousy vocabulary too, even if I am educated. Our gang never went in for weapons. We're just not that rough. The only weapons we ever used were knives and shoot. We carried them mostly just for the looks of it, like Two-Bit with his black-handled switchblade. None of us had ever really hurt anybody or wanted to, just Johnny, and he hadn't wanted to. Okay, I got to take a quick timeout. So as I'm reading to you guys, I have like all of your pictures up here, and I can see all the pictures. I have a screen here, and I have a screen over on this side. And there's one because this, once again, I've mentioned that it gets distracting because I can see you guys walking around. Like Kaylee's been walking around outside of her house. I can see it on my screen every once in a while. You guys do things, but there's one in particular I'm gonna have to show you here for a second. Hang on. Oh, he stopped it. Cameron, you take all the fun out of things. I was just getting ready to pop yours up there. Cameron had it frozen on his face as his background. So all I had was a picture of Cameron just staring at me, but he stopped it before I got a chance to pop it up on there. Thank you, Cameron, for bringing it back. How do I just? No, it won't let me. Oh, it won't let me show it on there. Can you do it over here? No, hang on. Dang it. I was trying to entertain myself. Cancel spotlight. Can I go over here and show his? Nope. Because yours is not, it's not your actual one, it's just your background, it's not going to let me do it. So I can do it this way though. Let's see if I bring around, I have to see Cameron's and spotlight mine, and then come over to here. Then we'll come back to reading. Let's see. Where's Cameron's face? Cameron's face. And so that's all I have is Cameron just sitting there staring at me the entire time, which was definitely entertaining because it was his little background picture whenever his video's not on. So I just had to sort of show that up there. I just want to try and pop it so all you can see it more easily, but highly entertaining. All right, back to me reading and not being distracted. Yes, Perla, I can see your entire face and up your nose. Goodness gracious, child. Horrible 7th graders. All right, back to here. Back to getting ready to fight. There you go. Hey, Curtis. No, Tim yelled. I jumped. Which one? I heard Soda yell back. Oh, hang on. Perla, after making me look up your nose, what's up?
What's going on? Like, not what's going on. Yeah, but what page are we on? I've been just looking at my phone. I forgot I was on the Zoom.
That is so honest of you. We're at the very bottom of page 140. And I agree. That was a bit of a boring part there where he described the whole beginning of the Rumble, which I completely agree is kind of a boring part. But now we're getting into the actual fight where things get a bit more exciting. So
okay,
page 140 going on to page 141. Now
I wasn't listening the whole time.
Totally, yeah. I totally feel you on that one. There we go. Back to here. All right. And then to here so I can look at Cameron's face staring at me again. All right. Hey, Curtis, Tim yelled, and I jumped. Which one? I heard Soda yell back. The big one. Hey, come on over here. The guy from Brumley looked at me. What'd I tell you? I watched Derry going toward Tim and the leader of the Brumley boys. He shouldn't be here, I thought suddenly. I shouldn't be here. Steve shouldn't be here. Soda shouldn't be here. Two-Bit shouldn't be here. We're greasers. We're not hoods. We don't belong to this bunch of future convicts. We could end up like them, I thought. We could. And the thought didn't help my headache. I went back to stand with Soda and Steve and Two-Bit then because the Socias were arriving right on time. They came in 4 carloads and filed out silently. I counted 22 of them. There were 20 of us, so I figured the odds were as even as we could get them. Derry always liked to take on 2 at a time anyway. They looked like they were all cut from the same piece of cloth, clean shaven with semi-beetle haircuts, wearing striped or checkered shirts with light red or tan-colored jackets. or Madras ski jackets. They could just as easily have been going to the movies as to a rumble. That's why people don't ever think to blame the socials and are always ready to jump on us. We look hoodie, they look decent. It could be just the other way around. Half the hoods I know are pretty decent guys underneath all that grease. From what I've heard, a lot of socials are just cold-blooded mean, but people usually just go by looks. They lined up silently, facing us, and we lined up facing them. I looked for Randy, but didn't see him. I hoped he wasn't there. A guy with a Madras shirt stepped up. All right, let's get the rules straight. Nothing but our fists, and the first to run lose, right? Tim flipped away his beer can. Yeah, you savvy real good. There was an uneasy silence. Who was going to start it? Derry solved the problem. He stepped forward under the circle of light made by the street lamp. For a minute, everything looked unreal, like a scene out of a JD movie or something. Then Derry said, I'll take on anyone. Remember, Derry's humongous and like Hulk form. So if you could imagine like the Avengers movies, like when they're getting ready to fight all the other bad guys and they try to send one of the Avengers forward, you're going to send the Hulk because the Hulk's like, doo, 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 and it steps up. So that's Derry. They figure if no one will fight Derry because they're all too scared, then they automatically win. And no one wants to fight Derry because he'll break them in half. It's a pretty good strategy. Derry stood there. Tall, broad-shouldered, his muscles taut under his t-shirt and his eyes glittering like ice. For a second, it looked like there wasn't anyone brave enough to take him on. Then there was a slight stir in the faceless mob of socias, and a husky blonde guy stepped forward. He looked at Derry and said quietly, Hello, Daryl. Something flickered behind Derry's eyes, and then they were ice again. Hello, Paul. I heard a soda give a kind of squeak and realized that the blonde was Paul Holden. He had been the best halfback on Derry's football team at high school. He and Derry used to buddy it around all the time. He must be a junior in college by now, I thought. He was looking at Derry with an expression I couldn't quite place, but disliked. Contempt, pity, hate, all three? Why? Because Derry was standing there representing all of us, and maybe Paul felt only contempt and pity and hate for greasers? Derry hadn't moved a muscle or changed expression, but you could see he hated Paul now. It wasn't only jealousy. Derry had a right to be jealous. He was ashamed to be on our side, ashamed to be seen with the Brumley boys, Shepherd's gang, maybe even us. Nobody realized it but me and Soda. It didn't matter to anyone but me and Soda. That's stupid, I thought swiftly. They both come here to fight, and they're both supposed to be smarter than that. What difference does the side make? Then Paul said, I'll take you. And something like a smile crossed Derry's face. I knew Derry had thought he could take Paul any time, but that was 2 or 3 years ago. What if Paul was better now? I swallowed. Neither one of my brothers had ever been beaten in a fight. I wasn't exactly itching for someone to break that record. They moved in a circle under the light, counterclockwise, eyeing each other and sizing each other up, maybe remembering old faults and wondering if they were still there. The rest of us waited with mounting tension. I was reminded of Jack London's books, where the wolf pack waits in silence for one of 2 members to go down in a fight. But it was different here. The moment either one swung a punch, the rumble would be on. The silence grew heavier, and I could hear the harsh breathing, heavy breathing of the boys around me. Still, Derry and the Soch walked slowly in a circle. Even I could feel their hatred. They used to be buddies, I thought. They used to be friends, and now they hate each other because one has to work for a living and the other comes from the west side. They shouldn't hate each other. I don't hate the Sochas anymore. They shouldn't hate. Hold up! A familiar voice yelled. Hold it! Derry turned to see who it was. And here's where we get to find out that the Sochas are cheating little jerks. Derry turned to see who it was, and Paul swung a hard right to the jaw that would have felled anyone but Derry. The rumble was on, and Dallas Winston ran to join us. So again, Dally, who had been in the hospital with his whole busted up arm, he managed to get his way out of the hospital to show up for the Rumble. So Dally's the one that shows up to surprise them. And that's when all of a sudden, when Derry turned to see who it was, Paul was like, bam, and tries to punch the Hulk in the face. For those of you who have seen the Avengers, it's like Loki trying to punch Hulk and try to take him down. And Hulk just does that and comes at him. Awesome. Anyway, back to here. I couldn't find a Soch my size, so I took the next best size and jumped on him. Dallas was right beside me, already on top of someone. I thought you were in the hospital, I yelled as the Soch knocked me to the ground and I rolled to avoid getting kicked. I was. Dally was having a hard time because his left arm was still in bad shape. But I ain't now. How? I managed to ask the Soch I was fighting. Leaped on me and we rolled near Dally. Sorry, quick timeout. The fact that they're in the middle of a fight and they're beating each other up and he's trying to have a conversation with Dally and they're talking back and forth to each other just sort of makes me giggle. Like punching you, like, how are you? I'm okay. Do you have the hospital? Yeah, I'm out of the hospital now. They're punching each other, having a conversation. Sorry, just made me giggle. I talked the nurse into it with 2-bit switchblade. Don't you know a rumble ain't a rumble unless I'm in it? I couldn't answer because the Soch, who was heavier than I had took him for, had me pinned. It was slugging the sense out of me. I thought dizzily that he was going to knock some of my teeth loose or break my nose or something, and I knew I didn't have a chance. But Derry was keeping an eye out for me. He caught that guy by the shoulder and half lifted him up before knocking him 3 feet with a sledgehammer blow. I decided it would be fair for me to help Dally out since he could only use one arm. They were slugging it out, but Dallas was getting the worst of it. So I jumped on his Soch's back, pulling his hair and then pounding on him. He reached back and caught me by the neck and threw me over his head to the ground. Tim Shepard, who was fighting 2 at once, accidentally stepped on me, knocking my breath out. I was up again as soon as I got my wind and jumped right back on the Soch, trying my best to strangle him. While he was prying my fingers loose, Dally knocked him backwards so that all 3 of us rolled on the ground, gasping, cussing, and punching. Somebody kicked me hard in the ribs, and I yelped in spite of myself. Some Soch had knocked out one of our bunch and was kicking me as hard as he could. But I had both arms wrapped around the other Soch's neck and refused to let go. Dally was slugging him, and I hung on desperately, although that other Soch was kicking me, and you better believe it hurt. Finally, he kicked me in the head so hard it stunned me, and I lay limp, trying to clear my mind and keep from blacking out. Those of you who play sports, hopefully you realize what just happened to him when he got hit in the head so hard that he kind of got loopy and doesn't know what's going on anymore. We would call that a concussion. So Ponyboy just got concussed from a Soch kicking him in the skull. Probably not a good thing. Stunned, I lay limp, trying to clear my mind and keep from blacking out. I could hear the racket, but only dimly through the buzzing in my ears. Numerous bruises along my back and on my face were throbbing, and I felt detached from the pain, as if I wasn't really me feeling it. They're running! I heard a voice yell joyfully. Look at the dirty cuss words. Run! It seemed to me that the voice belonged to 2-Bit, but I couldn't be sure. I tried to sit up and saw that the Soches were getting into their cars and leaving. Tim Shepard was swearing blue and green because his nose was broken again, and the leader of the Brumley boys was working over one of his own men because he had broken the rules and used a piece of pipe in the fighting. So the Brumley boys were fighting each other because one of them brought a pipe to it, which is against the rules because it was a skin-only fight. We found out, Steve lay doubled up and groaning about 10 feet from me. We found out later he had 3 broken ribs. Soda Pop was beside him, talking in a low, steady voice. I did a double take when I saw 2-Bit. Blood was streaming down one side of his face, and one hand was busted wide open, but he was grinning happily because the Soches were running. We won, Derry announced in a tired voice. He was going to have a black eye, and there was a cut across his forehead. We beat the Soches. Dally stood beside me quietly for a minute, trying to grasp the fact that we had really beaten the Soches. Then, grabbing my shirt, he hauled me to my feet. Come on, he half dragged me down the street. We're going to see Johnny. I tried to run, but stumbled, and Dally impatiently shoved me along. Hurry! He was getting worse when I left. He wants to see you. I don't know how Dallas could travel so fast and hard after being knocked around and having his sore arm hurt some more, but I tried to keep up with him. Track wasn't ever like the running I did that night. I was still dizzy and had only a dim realization of where I was going and why. Dally had Buck Merrill's T-Bird parked in front of our house, and we hopped into it. I sat tight as Dally roared the car down the street. We were on 10th when a siren came on behind us, and I saw the reflection of the red light flashing in the windshield. Look sick, Dally commanded. I'll say I'm taking you to the hospital, which is truth enough. I leaned against the cold glass of the window and tried to look sick, which wasn't too hard, feeling the way I did right then. By the way, we've got about 2.5 pages left, so we're almost done with this part. I leaned against the cold glass of the window and tried to look sick, which wasn't too hard, feeling the way I did right then. The policeman looked disgusted. All right, buddy, where's the fire? The kid, Dally jerked a thumb toward me. He fell over on his motorcycle, and I'm taking him to the hospital. I groaned, and it wasn't all fake out. I guess I looked pretty bad, too, being cut and bruised like I was. The fuzz changed his tone. Oh, is he real bad? Do you need an escort? How would I know if he's bad or not? I ain't no doc. Yeah, we could use an escort. And as the policeman got back into his car, I heard Dally hiss, sucker. With the siren ahead of us, we made record time getting to the hospital. All the way there, Dally kept talking and talking about something, but I was too dizzy to make most of it out. I was crazy. You know that kid? Crazy for wanting Johnny to stay out of trouble, for not wanting him to get hard. If he'd been like me, he'd never have been in this mess. If he'd gotten smart like me, he'd never have run into that church. That's what you get for helping people. Editorials in the paper and a lot of trouble. You better wise up, Pony. You get tough like me and you don't get hurt. You look out for yourself and nothing can touch you. He said a lot more stuff, but I didn't get it all. I had a stupid feeling that Dally was out of his mind, the way he kept raving on and on, because Dallas never talked like that. But I think now I would have understood if I hadn't been sick at the time. The cop left us at the hospital as Dally pretended to help me out of the car. The minute the cop was gone, Dally let go of me so quick I almost fell. Hurry! We ran through the lobby and crowded past people into the elevator. Several people yelled at us, I think because we were pretty racked up looking, but Dally had nothing on his mind except Johnny, and I was too mixed up to know anything but that I had to follow Dally. When we finally got to Johnny's room, the doctor stopped us. I'm sorry, boys. He's dying. We gotta see him, Dally said and flicked out Two-Bit's switchblade. His voice was shaken. We're gonna see him, and if you give me any static, you're gonna end up on your own operating table. The doctor didn't bat an eye. You can see him, but it's because you're his friends, not because of that knife. Dally looked at him for a second, then put the knife back in his pocket. We both went into Johnny's room, standing there for a second, getting our breath back in heavy gulps. It was awful quiet. It was scary quiet. I looked at Johnny. He was very still, and for a moment I thought in agony, he's dead already. We're too late. Dally swallowed, wiping the sweat off his upper lip. Johnny Cake, he said in a hoarse voice. Johnny? Johnny stirred weakly, then opened his eyes. Hey, he managed softly. We won, Dally panted. We beat the Socials. We stomped them, chased them out of our territory. Johnny didn't even try to grin at him. Useless. Fighting's no good. He was awful white. Dally looked his lips nervously. They're still writing editorials about you in the paper for being a hero and all? He was talking too fast and too calmly. Yeah, they're calling you a hero now and heroizing all the greasers, and we're all proud of you, buddy. Johnny's eyes glowed. Dally was proud of him. That was all Johnny'd ever wanted. Pony boy? I barely heard him. I came closer and leaned over to hear what he was going to say. Stay gold, Pony boy. Stay gold. The pillows seemed to sink a little, and Johnny died. I mean, you read about people looking peacefully asleep when they're dead, but they don't. Johnny just looked dead, like a candle with the flame gone. I tried to say something, but I couldn't make a sound. Dally swallowed and reached over to push Johnny's hair back. You never could keep that hair back. That's what you get for trying to help people, you little punk. That's what you get. Whirling suddenly, he slammed back against the wall. His face contracted in agony and sweat streamed down his face. Damn it, Johnny, he begged, slamming one fist against the wall, hammering it to make it obey his will. Damn it, Johnny, don't die. Please don't die. And he suddenly bolted through the door and down the hall. And that's the end of chapter 9. And that is, unfortunately, the end of Johnny. And so that end part there where he's talking about staying gold goes back to a poem from the very beginning with the whole thing about staying gold, meaning stay happy, find your happy place, stay innocent, stay young, don't give in to the things about dally and stuff like that. So one, sorry that you guys had to have me read that to you as opposed to reading it yourself. For the whole emotional impact. If you guys need a tissue, I'd happily offer you one, but I don't have a tissue here. Poor death of Johnny. If it helps, that is the second death in the book, but we're not done having people die in the book. There's still more yet to come. So don't worry. We'll get to that coming up also. Tomorrow, we'll read chapter 10. Oh, wait, let me do this for you guys. One last nice-ish thing. We're going to come to here. And hang on, click here. And not that, the screen. Share. I found a meme for you, so I thought you might enjoy my meme where it says, leave me so I can cry over the deaths of fictional characters. So that was my little bonding, sharing thing with you guys on that one. If the whole Johnny thing hit you guys a little bit hard, I completely understand. And for those of you who were not paying attention at the very beginning, clicky. There is our thing again for today. So if you did not screenshot it before, you're more than welcome to screenshot it here. And then I'll be uploading this to our website and stuff like that. Tomorrow, we're going to be reading chapter 10, and that's the last I will read with you. Tomorrow is our last day where I read a book with you, because then next week we talk, take a test, and then me just doing more talking. So that's it. You have one more day of me reading, and that will be it. We get to move on from there. Excuse me. All right, and then stop sharing here. If you didn't screenshot it, that's on you. If you need to go to Randall's Zoom, I completely understand. I'm surprised. Didn't plan on it going this long, but it took us like 15 minutes to get class started because of the whole hooligan-y thing and stuff like that, which causes all of the issues from there. But other than that, I'm assuming Pearl's never figured out whatever her question was because she never came back to yell at me from that one. For the rest of you, don't forget to turn in your Socrative, any of the past Socratives. Be good people. If you have questions, let me know. I think that's all we have. I agree, Antonio. Rip, poor Johnny. Sadness, shed a tear, stuff like that. By the way, it'll be nice outside today, so I highly recommend you go outside if you get a chance. It's cold, but at least it's somewhat nice. And that way, if you have brand new curly hair, you can go outside and show other humans your brand new adorable curly hair. That just makes your teacher feel bad because he has none. Unless tomorrow I wear one of my daughter's other wigs, and then I can also match you with adorable curly hair. Pearls, did you remember your question this time?
Nah.
You just want to say hello?
No, I have another question.
Oh, what's up?
So any updates?
No, good question. I did not get anything. Supposedly, we were supposed to have a meeting yesterday, and we were supposed to find out stuff, but nothing's been trickling down to me, so I have nothing, unfortunately. So again, my guess is once I hear something, that'll be what I start the whole Zoom with. Like that very beginning thing, I'll go on there and start telling you guys whatever I see. So I will not hold back and keep it a secret. I'll let you guys know as soon as I know.
Oh, also, Dick's Sporting Goods is open.
Is it? Nice.
Yeah.
I knew they were supposed to start opening up soon. I knew HTC began opening, but I didn't know what all stores over there. So, I mean, hopefully as long as people make poor choices, as long as people don't make poor choices, then we'll have more stores open up. And we can actually see other humans and not just on a screen. That'd be the bestest ever. So, fingers crossed. All right, I'm going to go gargle throat spray and try to eat a whole bunch of ice cream. And then from there, that Braden kid. Hooligan, hang on one second. Go to here and to there. There we go. And then creepy wave. See you guys later. Go enjoy outside stuff. Tomorrow will be a different password, so I wish you the best of luck with that one. And all right, Check ya. Ba-doop, ba-doop, boo.